We're going to learn how to untangle initials like VHS and CED, how to tell the difference between tape and disc. So let's get started before things change and get even more confusing. Now this is a video tape recorder, or VTR. Actually, sometimes they're called video cassette recorders or VCRs, but don't let that throw you. There's lots more confusing stuff coming up. Tapes come in two formats, Beta and VHS. Beta, as you can see, is smaller and supposedly more sophisticated. VHS, on the other hand, is larger, and its fans claim it's more reliable. The only thing we can tell you is that you can't play a Beta tape in a VHS machine, and vice versa.
Good afternoon, Retro Renaissance. Okay, picture this. It's Friday afternoon, you call your friends and make a plan. You need snacks, you need a place to go, you need transportation, usually a parent. You do not know what you're going to watch. What you do know is you're headed to the video store to rent a movie. And sure, life has become much easier these days and you can watch any movie you want almost instantly via streaming. However, it's less of an event. There is just something magical about the trip and browsing your local video store.
More fun!
You see, this was one of the most appealing aspects of being an 80s or 90s kid. For example, if you were a teen going to a sleepover, you'd be stacking up on all the horror classics and finding new ones based on the box art. You flip it over and read the back, and in many cases that is all you had to go on and it was good enough. In a Vox article by Dennis Perkins, they talk about their time working in a video store and the day they found out they were closing. We tried to comfort them, explaining how our owner had ensured that our whole collection would soon be available at the public library. For free even. It didn't help much, and one customer said, "Yeah, but you won't be there to help us." And it's this interaction that made the video store a different place.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good. Are either one of these any good? Sir?
What?
Are either one of these any good?
I don't watch movies.
Now we have one video rental company that seems to be open in our town. They have 2 locations, and the company is Video Theater. I have not been there in years, and I've never seen anyone there. My wife and I are fairly convinced it's some sort of cover-up for something seedy going down. But there's only one way to find out, so let's take a field trip. So we are outside Video Theater. That's our local video store. Let's go inside and take a look, shall we? As I walked in, it really looked like it was almost frozen in time. I was instantly presented with VCR tapes. Many had this blue tint, and I'm not sure if that was the discoloring from age or a choice by the store. It was walls and rows of VHS tapes, and I could overhear the attendant talking to a gentleman about closed caption, and how he has to have them in the movies he watches. It is these moments of connection that are missing today, not just in video stores, but in life in general. Now I tried to go a little slowly, but the camera was still causing a little motion sickness. For a Monday afternoon at around 12:30, there were 3 customers in the store. Not too bad. The new release wall had DVDs and Blu-ray with current releases and of course a movie playing in the store. And look, free rentals for the kids on Mondays. That's a great idea. You get something for you and a freebie for the kids. There were plenty of choices to behold, and it circled all throughout the store with sections of categories you would expect: drama, horror, comedy, western, sci-fi, and more. And they had VHS tapes for sale like this one, Ghost of the Mississippi, for $3.97. Good deal. And the state of some of these kind of looked like they were the same ones they rented back in the 80s. And I thought this was kind of cool, Yellowstone Season 4. Not that they rented Yellowstone, but if you had no streaming or other ways to watch your favorite show, you could just rent the whole season and make it a weekend. Then I came to their small row of video games. This was the highlight for me. I mean, look at this, PlayStation, GameCube, and Genesis? I don't have a Genesis, but finding a place that still rents Genesis games, this is a gold mine. And all these classics sure brought back some memories. And that's the end of our little tour of Video Theater, so if you're ever in North Idaho, stop by and take a look. So how did video rental stores come to be? Well, video rentals actually go back to the 70s. A store opened by Eckhard Baum in Kassel, Germany. In the summer of 1975, they rented Super 8 movies, and the first professionally managed video rental store in the US? And that honor goes to Video Station, opened by George Atkinson in December 1977. And this success led to the creation of video rental chains such as West Coast Video, Blockbuster Video, and Rogers Video in the 80s.
Our VCR was just in for repairs again. It was awful. Can you imagine trying to make conversation with Mr. Harris? Well, anyway, it's back now.
Good. You know, we have a lot of different movies you might not have seen before. Can I help you find anything in particular?
Oh, thanks. I'll just look around. I'm sure I'll find something.
However, by mid-1985, the United States had 15,000 video rental stores, and many record, grocery, and drugstores also rented videotapes. My local store was AC Video and Suncoast Video, both located in Kennewick, Washington. Sure, the big ones such as Hollywood Video and of course Blockbuster are around. However, they were not the ones my friends and I would gravitate to. Honestly, the Blockbuster experience was never that great to me, but they would do in a pinch. And who could forget the curtain room where you must never go? Now let's talk about snacks. This was a very important choice. Do you get
Pizza.
tacos, just candy, or of course popcorn? I was a Sega kid, so if I was getting a Master System or Genesis game, it would have to be easy to eat finger food. So how did video rentals work? Well, the stores that rented movies would buy the movies and then rent them out and get the item back and make some serious bank. There were reports of video stores sending employees to retail stores like Walmart to buy additional stock to rent out. And of course, the movie companies would try to fight this in court. However, it was turned down. While you could not do a public performance and the physical item could not exist in two places at once, meaning you can't copy the movie and rent the copies, there was no law in the US against renting any movies you have. It was the same law that is similar to libraries. This is known as the first sale doctrine, also sometimes referred to as the right of first sale, or the first sale rule. Now, this is an American legal concept that limits the rights of an intellectual property owner to control the resale of products embodying its intellectual property. The doctrine enables the distribution chain of copyrighted products, library lending, and giving. Now, this may vary by other countries such as the UK, where you had to have a special rental release and you had to have a special license to rent it. Obviously, movie companies hated this. They lost a huge chunk of change because why would someone buy their movie when they can just rent it and return it? So they came up with a workaround. They would have an initial release of their movie and they would have it, quote, priced for rental. Granted, if you could find a distributor that would sell it to you, anyone could buy it. However, the newest movies would sell for around $100 per copy. And the video stores would happily buy the overpriced tapes to make sure that they could have the newest releases available to keep up with their competitors. And then later there would be a standard retail release of the movie at around $20-$25. A Redditor on a throwaway account speaks of their experience, and in the research I have found is very similar to what they say. They state, I worked at a video rental store in Canada from 85 to 89. New release movies were very expensive. That's where the vast majority of rental money came from. So we would pay $80 to $120 for a big release, and then we'd get like 10 to 20 copies of the biggest movies. We would make most of that back within the first month. They were rented every day for $2 a day. Then after the first month, they'd still be rented every Friday and Saturday for a couple more months. And then we would sell some of our excess copies for around $20. The distributors would do tons of promos, like if you buy 10 of this new release, you can pick up 10 of these older movies for $20 each, or something similar to that. Ken Miyamoto, who was a producer, screenwriter, and former Sony Pictures script reader and story analyst, when asked how the video stores got their movies, they answered they'd pay a certain higher rate for a title, usually $60 to $70, and then obtain an unlimited rental for the lifetime of the VHS cassette. In the 90s, Blockbuster and most other video store chains could attain titles for a very low cost, and they would retain 60% of the rental fee and the studio would garner 40%, most of which was reported through RentTrack. The great thing about this business model is that although they were for purchase, they were purchased and priced at a ridiculous price point. So if you wanted to watch a movie back then and it was released for home viewing, you'd either have to pay to rent it at a video store, buy it at a ridiculous high cost, or just wait for the initial release period was over and the title was released for a purchase at a much lower price point. And that's why video stores were so popular back in the day. If you wanted to see a new movie release, you had to rent it. But in late 1997, when the new format of DVDs debuted, studios decided to make titles available at a low cost for purchase, and they limited any rental-only release period. He continues, video, on-demand, and pay-per-view have now taken over that once coveted rental-only period. Video stores are becoming a thing of the past due to technology and availability, as well as the beast that is known as Netflix. Streaming is the future, and we're on the brink of seeing a whole new rental entity blossom because of it. It's so funny how times have changed so much. And the curtain starts to close on the video rental store. Widespread availability of video on demand, cable TV, and VHS by mail services offered consumers a way of watching movies without having to leave home. So that's right, thanks to that pesky internet, we saw Netflix get movies to you pretty fast, and the queue setup allowed you to add a ton of movies that you were interested in, and they would just ship them to you when they were available. And they still have their DVD program today. So for a monthly fee, you could rent all the movies you want, not leave your house, and with no late fees. Regretfully, that also meant no store experience. There is something missing, and it's something that all humans crave in their core. Every time we stream, we are missing that Friday night feeling. The connections made over loving a film and sharing an opinion. They weren't just selling you a new release, they were selling you an experience. So now we have our streaming. HBO, Netflix, Hulu, Paramount Plus, Amazon, and more all have movies you can watch right now. So once there was 27,882 stores renting videos in the US, and by late 2015 that number was down to 4,445, and that number dropped even further, with over 86% of the US stores that specialized in video rentals closing by 2017, bringing the total to approximately 2,140 remaining stores. Now all hope is not lost. The last Blockbuster is still open as of 2022 in Bend, Oregon, and there's even a documentary about it. And I mentioned we have a couple video stores open in my town, and I just hope you have some where you are. I think whether we know it or not, this world needs the social interaction, the connections we build, and to push ourselves outside of the box. And to quote the great sage Michael Scott, people will never go out of business.
People, right? And people will never go out of business.
So in your daily routine, take a moment and say hello the next time you're in a store. As always, thank you for watching, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Retro Renaissance channel, abundant topics, let's take them one by one. Remember hair metal, awesome bands, and Batman fever, that's all we have. TV shows that kept us up all night. It's all right here, subscribe to Retro Renaissance channel.
So suck on that!